Hello everyone, I am Dr. Munish Kumar Bharadwaj from School of Engineering and Technology of IGNOU. We were discussing admixtures, and in our previous lectures we discussed some of the admixtures, their uses, their effect on concrete, and the type of admixtures which can be used in different conditions. Here also we will be discussing rest of the admixtures, and also we will see what are the different admixtures available in the market. So first of all, we'll discuss waterproofing and permeability reducing admixtures. What are these admixtures and what are the effects of these admixtures? Movement of moisture through concrete structure can be in two ways. What are these two ways? If water is retained on one side of the concrete under certain pressure, and if there are continuous capillary channels through concrete member, water will percolate through these capillary channels on the other side of the concrete member. The water passing in this manner is a measure of permeability. Secondly, water can pass through concrete by the action of capillary forces. Materials used to reduce water flow occurred by first method are termed permeability reducer, whereas materials used to reduce second type of flow are known as damp proofers. So this is the difference between the permeability reducer and the damp proofers. Permeability reducer are reduced to permeability in the concrete, whereas damp proofers are used to reduce the dampness in the concrete. Carefully designed concrete mix incorporating sound materials, low water cement ratio, and efficient execution will generally be impervious and will not need any waterproofing and damp proofing admixtures. What is the meaning that if we are having concrete which is made of sound material, we have used low water cement ratio, and also the efficient placing compaction is done for the concreting work, then the concrete obtained by doing so will be a good quality concrete which will not require any waterproofing and damp proofing treatment. However, since the usual design, placing, curing, and in general the various operations involved at the site of work leave much to be desired, it is accepted that the use of a well chosen admixture may prove to be of some advantage in reducing permeability. Means, what is the meaning that in field conditions there is an scope for use of reducing permeability, because we do not get that quality of concrete where no damp proofing treatment is required or reducing of permeability is not required. All workability agents including air entering agent may act as waterproofing and damp proofing agents. So here we see that all the agents which we were using for increasing the workability will work as very good for waterproofing purpose and damp proofing purpose also. Some materials like soda, potash soap, calcium soap, resins, vegetable oils, fats, waxes, and coal tar residues are added as water repelling materials in this group of admixtures. So these are some of the materials in this group of admixtures which we can use as permeability reducer and the damp proofer. In some kind of waterproofing admixtures, inorganic salts of fatty acids usually calcium or ammonium stearate or oleate is added along with lime and calcium chloride. So that way we can use the waterproofing admixture. Another category of admixture is, and very important category of admixture is, plasticizers and superplasticizers. What are these? Let us look these. In concrete making, water cement ratio plays a major role, you know. If water cement ratio is less, strength is improved. This fact also you know. However, with less water cement ratio, the workability is reduced. Compaction becomes difficult in such situations. As a result of inefficient compaction, air voids are left in the concrete, which will result in reduction of the strength. Whenever the concrete is stiff and hence difficult to place and compact, there is a tendency on the part to the workers to increase quantity of water and thereby workability. But what will be its effect? Higher water cement ratio will be there and hence less strength of concrete will be there. Because what generally the workers do, as explained here, that when our mix is stiff and it is difficult to place and compact, then the workers will have a tendency to add water into it. It will result into higher water cement ratio, and you know that higher water cement ratio will cause the lesser strength in the concrete. So this is a dilemma to the site engineer, that what to do. That mix is very stiff, it is not placeable or cannot be compacted. But if you are adding water, it is causing the reduction in the strength. So here we can use plasticizers and the superplasticizers. Their addition improves workability even for low water cement ratio. So that is the use of plasticizers and the superplasticizers. In concrete making, water cement ratio plays a major role. If water cement ratio is less, strength is improved. However, with less water cement ratio, the workability is reduced, compaction becomes difficult. As a result of inefficient compaction, air voids are left in concrete, resulting in reduction of strength. Superplasticizers are water reducing admixtures, and these are chemically different from normal water reducers. These are capable of reducing water content by as much as 25%. Means you can reduce the water content by 25% by using superplasticizers in the concrete. These superplasticizers were first introduced in Japan in 1964 and later in Germany in 1972, and now frequently being used nowadays in the concreting work where there is a problem of the increased workability of the concrete. Now let us see how we classify the superplasticizers. There are different categories in which the superplasticizers can be classified. First is category A. In this category, sulfonated melamine formaldehyde, which generally abbreviated as MSF, condensate or their sodium salts are used. In category B, sulfonated naphthalene formaldehyde or NSF condensate or their sodium salts are used. In category C, we put the superplasticizers which are modified lignosulfonates, LS. And in category D, polyhydroxylated polymer or mixture of acid amides and polysaccharides. So these are four categories, A, B, C and D categories of the superplasticizers, in which different chemicals are used as superplasticizer. Each category includes products differing from one another because either the base component can have undergone some chemical changes or other chemical substances may be present in these categories of different categories of the admixtures. Now let us discuss what dosage is used of these admixtures. Conventional plasticizers do not exceed 0.25% by weight in case of lignosulfonate. In case of carboxylic acids, not more than 0.1% by weight they should be used. The superplasticizers MSF and NSF are used in considerably higher doses, that is 0.5 to 1.5%, since they do not entrain air. Lignosulfonates include admixtures which have an effective fluidizing action but at relatively high doses. They can produce undesirable effects such as acceleration or delay in setting time. So we have to be very cautious while using these. They may also increase air entrainment in the concrete. The plasticizing action in plasticizers is physical in nature, means no chemical reaction is taking place by addition of these mixtures in the concrete. Admixtures particles stick on the cement particles, which increases zeta potential, thus causing cement particles to mutually repel each other. Means repulsion came into the picture, and this repulsion is because of the zeta potential created by the admixture particles which are sticking on the cement particles. By dispersing the cement particles in aqueous solution of superplasticizers, the later means the superplasticizers are absorbed on the surface of cement particle. If dosage of superplasticizers is increased beyond certain limit, unabsorbed superplasticizer particles will hinder with normal hydration process of the cement. So that way we have to be cautious regarding the dosage of the superplasticizers. The plasticizers is physical in nature and is explained by absorption isotherms, that is, sticking of admixture particles on cement particles which increase zeta potential, thus causing cement particles to mutually repel each other. By dispersing the cement particles in aqueous solution of superplasticizers, the latter are absorbed on the surface of cement particles. Latter here means the particle of superplasticizers. If the dosage of superplasticizers is increased beyond limit, the unabsorbed superplasticizers particle will hinder with normal hydration process. So this is the problem if we are increasing the dosage beyond certain limit. However, superplasticizers can be safely used at much higher doses than ordinary plasticizers without the problem of excessive air entrainment, retardation or bleeding, which might otherwise be expected in case of ordinary plasticizers. Now let us see the advantages of superplasticizers. Superplasticizers can be used to increase workability, keeping water cement ratio constant. Means without changing the water cement ratio, we can increase the workability of concrete by using superplasticizers. This may result in increase in strength between 5 to 20%. So this is the advantage, that we can get an increase in strength of the concrete between 5 to 20% by using the super plasticizers. Because water cement ratio will be reduced. For same water cement ratio, by adding the super plasticizers, workability will be increased, and that way we will get a increase in the strength of the concrete by 5 to 20%. Keeping designed workability constant, water cement ratio can be decreased considerably, and you can achieve reduction in water up to 25% with addition of the super plasticizers, thus causing a rise of strength by 70 to 80%. So this is an advantage. This means keeping cement content low, that is 300 to 325 kg per meter cube, high strength concrete can be produced. This is the advantage of using the super plastic. The most widely used application of water reducing admixtures is to allow reduction in water cement ratio while maintaining the initial workability in comparison to a similar concrete containing no admixtures. This allows the attainment of a required strength at lower cement content to effect economies in the mix design. Cement saving of the order of 25 to 30% can be achieved by judicious use of plasticizers. So that way the use of super plasticizers make concreting economical also. Now let us discuss another type of admixtures that we use in concrete is pozzolana admixtures. Pozzolana is a natural or artificial material containing silica in a reactive form. If we define pozzolana as per our IS code 3812, then pozzolana may be stated as a siliceous and aluminous material which in itself possesses little or no cementitious value, but in finely divided form and in the presence of moisture will chemically react with calcium hydroxide at ordinary temperature to form compounds possessing cementitious properties. So this is the actually action of pozzolana and advantage of using pozzolana in concrete. It is essential that pozzolana be in a finely divided state, as only in this state silica can combine with lime, which is liberated by the hydrating Portland cement in the presence of water to form a stable calcium silicates which have cementitious properties. So this is the action basically wherefrom the cementitious properties are introduced in the concrete when we are using the pozzolana admixtures. Now let us see some of the naturally occurring pozzolanic materials. These materials are volcanic ash, pumicite, opaline shales, diatomaceous earth. Then let us see now artificially occurring pozzolanic materials. Artificially occurring pozzolanic materials are pulverized fuel ash, that is PFA or fly ash generally we call. Also burnt clay can be used as pozzolanic material. So these two are the artificial occurring pozzolanic materials. Now let us see the effect of pozzolanic admixtures on concrete. What does the pozzolanic materials do? They lower the heat of hydration and thermal shrinkage. These materials also increases the water tightness in the concrete. They reduce alkali aggregate reaction. Also, their use improve resistance to attack by sulfate soils and the seawater. Also, the use of pozzolanic admixtures improves the strength. They improves also the workability of the concrete. So these are the advantages that we draw by use of the pozzolanic admixtures. Now let us see another type of admixtures. These type of admixtures are corrosion inhibiting admixtures. Means, as it is clear from its name, corrosion inhibiting means they are used to reduce the corrosion or prevent the corrosion. So the corrosion of reinforcement due to environmental influences is the major problem found in reinforced concrete. That due to the environmental effects, there is a corrosion of reinforcement. Once corrosion starts, it continues. The corroded material, that is iron oxide, has much more volume than the original volume of steel, causing expansion in hardened concrete. This is the biggest problem. That this corroded material means, what is that corroded material? After corrosion, what is produced? Iron oxide is produced. And the volume of iron oxide is much more than the iron. And due to this, expansion takes place in the hardened concrete and their cracking may occur. So this expansion causes cracks, and due to these cracks may be of the order of that subsequent spalling of concrete from surfaces may take place. So you must have seen the spalling of concrete from some lintels, sunshades, that way where the surface is exposed to the environmental conditions, and there due to that ingression of moisture, the corrosion of reinforcement takes place and increase in volume of the material, that is iron oxide, takes place there, and finally cracks occur and they cause the spalling of the concrete. It is recognized that steel embedded in heavily alkaline medium with pH value from 9 upward will not rust. Means if the environment is alkaline, then corrosion will not be there. During the setting of concrete, when cement hydrates, the chemical reaction between cement and water in the concrete causes calcium hydroxide to be formed as a byproduct along with gel. Means two things are formed on hydration, the gel and calcium hydroxide. This ensures the concrete to be alkaline because calcium hydroxide is alkaline material, so concrete will be alkaline, producing a pH value of more than 12.6, which renders the steel surface passive. Means there will be no corrosion because here now the concrete is of alkaline nature, higher pH is there. Protection of reinforcement from corrosion is thus provided by the alkalinity of the concrete, which leads to a passivating of the steel. The reserves of calcium hydroxide is very high, so there is no need to expect steel corrosion even when water penetrates to the reinforcement of the concrete. Environment influences like saline or brackish waters or soils or carbon dioxide from atmosphere in particular will reduce the concrete's high pH environment and now thus will remove the passivating effect. So we saw that alkalinity of concrete is there because of the formation of calcium hydroxide, and concrete is in quite alkaline status, but the environmental influences that we see here, that like saline or brackish water saline soils, or carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. These do not allow this high pH environment for a long time, and now they reduce the pH of the concrete. In conjunction with existing humidity, the result is the corrosion of the reinforcement. Means when the salinity is introduced, then this salinity mixed with the humidity, this may reduces the pH of the concrete, and hence in such environment corrosion of the reinforcement will take place. Compounds such as sodium benzoate, sodium nitrate, etc. can be used to prevent corrosion of reinforcement. A 2% benzoate solution in mixing water may be used to prevent corrosion of reinforcement. Sodium nitrate has been found to be effective in preventing corrosion of steel in concrete containing calcium chloride. So these are some of the compounds or agents which can be used to inhibit corrosion of the reinforcement. Now let us see another type of admixture, which is bonding admixture. So as it is clear from its name, it helps the proper bonding between the surfaces, different layers or the surfaces of the concrete. Fresh concrete, when laid over an old surface, due to shrinkage in the freshly laid concrete, there is tendency to pull this newly laid concrete itself away from the old surface. Means this newly laid concrete will not properly make a bond with the old surface of concrete. For this reason, old surface is prepared thoroughly before new concrete is laid by way of hacking the old surface with wire brush. Means scratching of that surface will be done with the help of wire brush, and then cleaning with water so that aggregate surfaces are exposed to make sufficient bond with freshly laid concrete. There are two types of bonding admixtures available. One is metallic bonding admixtures, another one is synthetic latex bonding admixtures. Let us see first one, metallic. A chemical is added to act as bonding admixture. The particles, when come in contact with fresh concrete, oxidizes and expands. The tiny finger-like projections that thrust out into both old and the new concrete bind them together. So that way the proper bond is ensured. Synthetic latex bonding admixtures, these consist of highly polymerized synthetic liquid resins dispersed in water. The commonly used bonding admixtures are made from natural rubber, synthetic rubber, or any of a large number of organic polymers or copolymers. The polymers may include polyvinyl chloride, polyvinyl acetate, etc. Now let us see some commonly available admixtures in Indian market. First we take the case of plasticizers and super plasticizers. Different products are available, such as Gentrament Super BV liquid. Its dosage generally used is 0.5 to 1% of cement by weight, and its properties are, these are basically super plasticizers, provides high workability, makes the mix pumpable, reduces compaction effort, and improves strength. Another product which is available is Centriplast FF90 liquid. Its dosage is 0.8 to 1.6% for flow concrete and 1.5 to 3% for high early strength concrete. Their characteristics are, they are universal super plasticizers, makes mix pumpable and flowable. They provide high early strength and final strength and excellent compatibility with all cements they show. Another product which is used as plasticizers and super plasticizers is Chemicrete super plasticizer liquid. Dosage is 0.8 to 1.5% by weight of cement. They make concrete pumpable. They provide high early and ultimate strength and act as accelerator. Sikament FF liquid is also used as super plasticizer, and their dosage is 0.6 to 3% by weight of cement, and there is water reduction of 25% they can cause in concrete, 40% increase in 28 days of strength, high strength after 8 hours they provide, and they also cause increased frost resistance and water tightness. Let us look another category of admixtures which are available in market, and that is air entraining agents. In this category, different products available are MC Mist Coil LP liquid, Chemicrete C1 AEA liquid, Fro-B liquid, Fryoplast A Flomo AEF, and they are used in different dosages. Then let us see what accelerating admixtures are available in the market. Then Sigunit powder is available, and its dosage which we use is generally 2 to 4% by weight of cement. Another accelerating admixture is MC Snell SDS liquid. Its dosage depend upon the acceleration required, and its characteristics, if we look at, these are accelerating agent, induces quick setting, rapid strength development, used for quick sealing mortar and also for underwater concreting. Let us see some of the products which are used as retarding admixtures. So one product is available as MC Retard 60 liquid, and its dosage is generally 0.2 to 1% of cement weight. Another one is Gentrament T5 BV liquid. Its dosage is 0.2 to 0.5% by weight of cement. Another one is Sikament 500 and also Sikament 600, and their dosage is 0.6 to 2% by weight of cement. Then let us see some waterproofing compounds which are available in the market. MC Special DM powder, and it is used in doses of 1% by weight of cement. It provides waterproofing and also increases the workability. Then Chemicrete C3 integral waterproofing compound is also available, and its dosage is 2% by weight of cement. Another one waterproofing compound is Plastocrete, and its dosage generally is used as 0.5% by weight of cement. So these are some of the products which are available in market which are used as different type of admixtures in the concrete to change or alter the properties of the concrete. So this way we have completed discussion of admixtures in 3 lectures. I hope you must have understood all these admixtures properly, and you will go through the e-content also given. So thank you for watching.